Bonjour, je m'appelle Zeno, je suis de Brazil, and that's all the French I have for you today. Today I'm going to talk about DXP Cloud. I'm really excited to be here in France. This is my third time in France, first time here in the Symposium. I have a lot of good memories about France. I also have a lot of bad memories about France. I'm Brazilian, so World Cup 98, just saying. Still trying to digest that. But okay, I work at Liferay. I lead the product DXP Cloud, and yeah, that's it. And today I want to talk about cloud. And going to the cloud, it's not easy at all. There are projects that can be really successful, and we see many launches to the cloud that are just perfect, and everything was amazing, and it worked okay. But there are other launches, there are other launches that start like this, and it starts well, everything is going okay, and then the project starts to not go so well, but everybody's confident. Yeah, I think we can do this. Let's speed this up. We can launch, let's do this. And then things start to fall apart, and eventually, yeah, it doesn't work out, right? We don't want that to happen with our projects, so we have to be careful. An interesting data that we found is that 60% of cloud migrations fail. That's data from Velostrata, and it's very massive if you think about this, right? It's something that you wouldn't imagine that cloud migrations would take that much of a work. But that's a fact. And why is that? Why is it so hard for people to move to the cloud? There are many reasons for that. Maybe it's about the budget. We projected something and we ended up spending much more than we thought. Maybe it's about the tooling that we used. We defined a set of tools. We thought that would be what we needed. We ended up seeing that it's not the case. Maybe it's about productivity. We cannot deliver the solutions we had in time. Maybe it's about the launch itself. Everything went okay, and when we are ready to go live, things went wrong. Maybe it's the data, and we couldn't migrate the data in a secure way, and we couldn't deliver. Or it could be about the metrics, defining what are the goals that you need for the migration. Hitting those goals are very important. Maybe it was the hosting provider, or maybe it's just about security. Let's say you have a set of procedures, a set of compliance that you need to meet, and you couldn't. So there are many reasons for that. And there are many use cases in the industry of going to the cloud and failing. Netflix is one of them. In December 2012, on Christmas Eve, they had an incident where they were migrating different cloud providers, and their lack of backups and recovery plan ended up costing them a lot of money with that downtime. Knight, this is a financial institution in US, and they do high-frequency trading. There was one incident that caused them to, they deployed new code, and that new code was slowing down like 40 times the transactions, and that cost them $400 million. The New York Stock Exchange, they had to pause the transactions, just how massive this was to the stock market. And that was because they didn't test everything properly, right? So this is something really important. And there's so many other use cases in the industry. You have Yahoo, LinkedIn, Home Depot, and like we could list tons of companies that went through the same journey. According to the same survey, they asked, okay, why those 62% of projects failed? And the reasons why they were saying that is because 55 of them, they just went over the budget. 56 of them, they just had a lack of expertise in the tools that they were using. And 52% of those replied that they had compliance issues. So those are things that we need to care about when we are looking at migrating to the cloud. So there are other aspects that you need to consider. We listed 6 aspects here, and we're going to go over those 6 items. And starting with having a solid business case. We think that it's really easy to think about the cloud as the only way, right? Okay, everybody's moving to the cloud, so maybe I should move too. Maybe just because everybody's doing it, I should do that as well. That's the right move to do. And that might not be the answer. That might be something else. So you really have to have a strong case for moving to the cloud. And this, of course, depends on the circumstance of the company, but making that really clear is important. So for this presentation, I want you to imagine a bread retailer, okay? This is, let's say it's the company that we all work for. Let's call this company Baguette Ray, okay? Because we're in France, why not Baguette Ray? So we sell a lot of breads. We have different types. We have croissant. We have everything you can imagine. And it's a very important company. We sell bread all over the world. We have thousands of employees, thousands of customers. I want you to meet the Baguette Ray team, okay? This is our executive team, so it's really important for us to know those people. We have the CIO, Killian, okay? That's the number one. Brigitte is our CMO. And Zinedine is our CEO, okay? This is our team. It's a very diverse team. And they all have different agendas. They all have different goals that they need to meet. So it's important that we have a strong direction with this project. So I want you to meet the Baguette Ray systems. We have a partner portal because we need to distribute our bread with our partners. So we need this place where they can go make their orders. We're going to have a public website. We need to display our organization, our values, our mission, so we need that publicly. And we have an intranet because there's thousands of employees out there. We need a place to connect them in a unified way. So for them, for Baguette Ray, they have on-premise, and that's working for them for a very long time. But for them, it's not about just following the same trend of going to the cloud just because everybody's doing. For them, it's about time to market. We have our CIO that needs to deliver all these solutions that marketing, sales, support, operations, they all require different systems to be in place. So for them, it's important to meet those deadlines, deliver those applications. And it's really difficult for IT to have all these different stakeholders and still deliver on time with all the requirements they need. There's also the hidden costs. When we think about on-premise, it's amazing because you have the data inside, like in-house, and you have everything in-house. And you might look at the numbers and see, okay, maintaining this data center is actually, it doesn't cost as much. But there's a lot of hidden costs. And when you start putting those numbers on paper, you see that there's a lot of money involved with electricity, a generator, AC, just like personnel to maintain that data center. Maybe you have like a team maintaining for 5 years, then those people leave. Now you have like this huge data center, and now you have a new team that is coming up. You need to figure out how that all works. A lot of legacy applications there, so it's pretty challenging. And also compliance. Baguette Ray is a company that is worldwide, and there are many different legal compliance that they need to just work with. So it's pretty challenging to go over that process. This company, they sell bread. That's what they do. So like managing data in the right way, that's not their expertise. So for them, it's really important. It's not about the hype of moving to the cloud. It's about ROI. So it's really, really important for them to move to the cloud. So let's say they made that decision, okay? Okay, this is the right path. Let's do this. Next step is what provider should I choose? There are many providers for the cloud. And thinking that all providers are the same is a very big mistake. There are different types of things that you need to consider when you're moving to the cloud. You have your hosting platforms. You have, okay, how I'm going to build my software, how I'm going to maintain that, how I'm going to consume different applications, different APIs from this provider. And we can pretty much divide them in these three categories. We have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and we have SaaS, right? Software as a service. Those different layers, they solve different problems. Maybe infrastructure as a service just deals with the servers. Now you don't need to have your service in-house. you actually just have them, someone else is taking care of them. A platform as a service, they might deal with the servers and the middleware. And SaaS, they deliver the application, they deliver the software. So each one of those, they have different characteristics. Large organizations, it's very common to see different layers and different providers offering in different levels services. So having a multi-cloud approach, it's something that we are seeing very often. Or even a hybrid cloud. You know, you still have on-prem running, but you have other applications that are talking to this on-premise server. So for us, by Liferay, we decided that we want to go to the cloud. We looked at all those options, and we found that, okay, between SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS, we found that PaaS is the best option, because having a platform as a service is the middle ground between all the flexibility that infrastructure as a service gives to me and all the high productivity tools that SaaS gives to me, but I can still have both sides of that coin. So that's something we decided. And we looked around and we found that DXP Cloud is the best solution. We think that's what we're gonna go through. So why DXP Cloud? There are many reasons that people are choosing DXP Cloud. Number one is about the platform that we offer. Just like the features that are there, everything that is built on that platform delivers the flexibility they need and the productivity that they need. The other one is about the expertise. So for most people that are using DXP, okay, they're making the decision to use DXP. Now, okay, where I'm gonna put this, how I'm gonna now install this service, there's all these other softwares that needs to talk to DXP. So Liferay is a very good company because we have tons of experience in-house doing that, dealing with customers, like thousands of deployments worldwide. And the other one is about being this one-stop shop that you can use, right? Having the product, DXP, and the cloud provider in the same place, that's very unique. So it's something that we need to take in consideration as well. So, okay. But Liferay is going to use DXP Cloud. So let's see how that looks like. This is DXP Cloud in action, okay? For us, we have those 5 different environments. We have our development environment. We have DR. This is our disaster recovery environment. We have the infrastructure environment, production, and we have UAT. In each one of those environments, I have different services running. I have different people on each environment with different permissions. And they're all hosted in different locations. So you can see that I have my development environment and my production in US, and I have my disaster recovery in São Paulo, Brazil, and I have my UAT in Germany because I have a lot of stakeholders in Germany. So I decided to put that over there. Let's take a look over there. We have the different environments. Some are production, some are non-production. I'm gonna go to the development environment. I can see that it's running in US. Disaster recovery, I can see that it's running in São Paulo. And UAT, it's running in Frankfurt. So this is one aspect that is very unique and very good about DXP Cloud, the fact that you can have one project with different locations, the locations that you decide to have. If you want to have everything in the same location, that's also great. No problem at all. But if you have a worldwide organization and you think that depending on the project, depending on the environment, it's important to have in one location or another, okay, we can go for it. Next up is establishing a new operating model. Just moving to the cloud is one thing, but now you have to really rethink all the processes and everything that you're dealing with. There's a whole new operational challenge that you need to face. How you're going to transform those workflows, those processes and operations in general, it's really important how you're going to deal with that situation. There are many things you need to do. You need to map how your cloud infrastructure works and how that will be deployed. You need to redefine the policies, who has access to what, and what is your software development lifecycle. Also ensure that the DevOps and the cloud architects are going to understand that platform really well and then train their staff really well. Review and fine-tune the SLAs. Now you're going to be dealing with data in the cloud. So data security is really important. how you're going to answer questions about where is my data, what is the compliance of that data, and all the privacy settings. Now, this is a challenge you need to put in consideration. The new operational costs that this is going to happen before and after the migration, and all this combined, you have to rethink those processes. And that's the DevOps challenge, right? At this company, Liferay, we don't have a very good DevOps culture, so we have some teams that work pretty well and are really productive, but we have other teams that are not that productive, so we need help. So with DXP Cloud, they can have, by default, all the different environments they need, and they can manage those in different ways. Let's take a look at our project on DXP Cloud. I have my dev environment, my UAT, my prod. You can see that I have different code running on each environment. And in one screen, I can see, okay, what is my history? What is everything that was deployed to UAT? Who did it, what, and when? And I can see what is running right now. I can see that my dev is running build number 132, my UAT 133, and I can move those builds around. So that's really nice, managing those environments in this way. Everything on DXP Cloud, we start from the source code, right? We support GitHub and other Git servers by default. All those changes that are made on GitHub, the new code pushes, then everything that is being developed, it goes through Jenkins, which is a build tool, and then Jenkins will test, make sure everything is great, and then send to DXP Cloud back. That's the software development lifecycle in one slide. We're going to dive a little bit deeper on that later on. Okay, so we have a strong business use case. We know that all cloud providers are not the same. We know that we have to rethink our operations and software development lifecycle. What's next? One challenge that we see that people go through over and over again is failing to test properly. And that might sound a very simplistic way of putting things, and there's like multiple levels of testing that you need to put in account, from like the source code, like all the unit tests, integration tests that you're doing, then all the functional tests that you're running to make sure everything is great. And for cloud migrations, there's also the test of the migration itself. So your cloud architecture is just as good as your testing. That's the truth. And this is one of the elements that you just cannot cut corners. You have to be really smart about it and not thinking about minimizing costs on this area, because it's going to cost much more later on. So pay attention to the design and the testing of data migration. And also, I love this quote because it's really common for us to put automated tests in place. For those companies that already have a mature DevOps strategy, they already do that work, right? But having automated tests but no continuous integration is like having a sword but letting it rot, right? It's just useless. It doesn't work. So you have to be really conscious about this part. And also have a disaster recovery plan in place. If you start the migration without that, like at one point, maybe things are not going to go the way it was going to go, and then you need to account for that. And test that plan as well. You don't want to be in the middle of a fire, right? Where there's like things going on all over the place, and now you have to wake up in the middle of the night to deal with it. So let's talk about Liferay. We are using GitHub, and we're using Jenkins. So what is great about the Jenkins that DXP Cloud provides is that already has the new Blue Ocean interface built in. The Jenkins pipeline is already done for you, and it's already hooked to GitHub. So this is the repository that every new client gets, and we can see that we already have all the files that are needed. We have the Jenkins pipeline in place, and we have the DXP Cloud hook already in place as well. So every new commit that is made on my source code already is sent to my build tool that is going to test, make sure that everything is great before it moves forward. I can log in to my Jenkins, and I can see everything that is going on over there. I can see that I have my project there, I have all the builds, and I have all my pipeline already there. you see that we already have some stages on that pipeline that is already built in, where we are building the Liferay workspace. We are sending to DXP Cloud, and you can customize that. Let's say you have a static analysis tool like SonarQube that you want to put in place. You want to run your full functional tests on this stage. You can also add that. Okay, but what happens if something goes wrong? Now, everything is good. All my project is doing great. You need a disaster recovery strategy, and that's really important. In this case, we have our project, our production is running on US, okay? So this is the region that we have, our servers running in Oregon, and that's great. Inside that region, what we already do by default on DXP Cloud is within every region, there are 3 availability zones. What this means is that if an entire building goes down, it catches on fire, we still replicate the data and everything. Your whole application is running in other 2 locations. So this is amazing. But still, right, we're talking about a disaster here. Let's say there's a whole earthquake that destroys everything. You don't want to lose your data. So what we do on DXP Cloud is you can have a different disaster recovery environment that is already in place. In this case, we chose Brazil because my whole application is now running in Americas. And okay, now we can just, every time there's, but if there is a case where there's a disaster and everything goes bad, I can still serve my application in this other location for my users. Now, the other thing is about planning, right? You're moving to the cloud. There are all these different pieces that you're considering and you need to make sure they're working correctly. So moving everything at once and just taking an approach of okay, it's one or all you have to decide is not the best approach, right? Even any application that you think, there are different parts, different components that you need to consider. So that's really important. So for us, we have different applications, right? We have a partner portal, public website, we have a intranet, and we have legacy systems as well. We have ERP, HR software. Where should we start? Should we just go with the newer applications and move those to the cloud? Should we start with the older because then we remove the legacy? Should we start from the top, the most important ones, or should we start from the bottom, the ones that are not that crucial? Or maybe it's about the size. Maybe we move the smaller applications first, or maybe we move the bigger applications first. The truth is there's no real answer here. Each case is different. And even in terms of importance of application, what we have seen is that you might think that, oh, maybe it's easier to start with the easiest project. But we have seen people starting with the most critical one first, because maybe this will help convince all other stakeholders in the company, and then I can spread that word around that if it worked with this one, the most critical one now, it's going to work with the rest. So there's really no right answer, but the important thing is choosing one. And dividing, right? You have to break down into different components and start. So try defining an MVP for this, a minimum viable product for this migration, and deliver value no matter the size. Just transitioning from on-prem to cloud, there's no real value that is being added besides just changing your approach, right? So try to deliver value right away. And also try a 2-speed IT model. This is a term that we have been seeing in the industry where it basically talks about moving in 2 different speeds depending on what you're dealing with. So you might have newer applications, newer code that is running, and you might have older applications, legacy code. So you can move with those newer applications faster and with the legacy a little bit slower. And also a hybrid cloud approach where you connect a VPN with your on-premise server and your cloud application. So for Baguette Ray, we have an ERP and an HR software that is running on-prem. And we're using DXP Cloud now. The problem is our DXP needs to connect with those 2. How are we going to do that? We can use the DXP Cloud VPN. So we can go to settings and set up our VPN now. You can choose OpenVPN or IPsec, define the server address, the username, the account, base my certificate, the VPN server, the forwarding port, define how I'm going to map that inside my project, and then connect it. Now I have this secure tunnel between those two environments. I can have all my services that are running on DXP Cloud in a private network, and I can connect that with my on-premise servers. Now I can make something where every service that is talking within this private network using a host name and a port can actually behave the same way as if they were in the same network. So in this case, I'm creating this forward port, which are pretty much mapping that server with that port inside my private network here with another host name and a port. So this is great because now they all connect in a very secure way in this secure tunnel. Next, security, and that's the most crucial part of everything. People think that security, once you have a provider, they can just rely completely on that provider for security. And that's not the case. It's a shared responsibility. If you think about any service that you use, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything that you use on the day-to-day, it's a shared responsibility, the security of that account. If I leave my phone here and it's just unlocked, just two-factor authentication, everything that you put in place to secure your phone, it's useless because now people are just accessing. So having that mentality is really important. There are many things you have to consider in terms of security. Identity and access management, how you're going to actually identify the users, put different roles for them, how is that all governed? That's really important. The network security, is there any threat detection tools in place? Is there any load protection that is going to identify that if there's a breach, we can attack that breach right away? The data protection, how is the data replicated? How is that secured? What are the users of that database? If there's any vulnerability scanning, or if there's a brute force happening, how are we detecting that someone is brute forcing for 7 days and then block that? The application security, all the ports that you're opening, everything that goes inside the application, and the intelligence, right? What are the events correlation with everything that is connected there? And workload-centric, that's another important piece. How are we managing all the patches that we need to put? Software is something that is not stagnated. It just keeps evolving forever, right? It's an infinite game with software. So we need to be really aware of that and always keep updating. So for us, one thing that is really important for Baguette Ray is that we have a SAML server. All the users are in one place, and I need to just reuse that same system. Now on DXP Cloud, this is a new feature. You can use single sign-on. So in this case, I'm actually using the Liferay single sign-on, going to the Liferay SAML server, and now going back to DXP Cloud, using everything that all my users that are on this Liferay account. This could work for any company. Besides that, we have been working super hard to be SOC 2 compliant and ISO 27K compliant. This is a process that takes like months and months, and every day is a new learning of, okay, making sure everything is still secure. It's not about just getting this one badge and that's it, right? So keeping up with security is really important for us. It's probably the most important thing today. And for this company, we have different people, right? We have different individuals that need different access to different environments. So how can we make sure that all this is done? DXP itself is really good in terms of permissioning, in terms of roles. We need to have that same flexibility in the cloud. So starting with environments, you can actually choose and invite different people to different environments. In this case, I can see all the users that I invited already. Now I'm inviting a new one, and I can choose what are their roles inside that project. Those different roles, they have different powers. An admin has full control. A contributor can do most of the things but cannot manage the project. And guests, they can be there, see what's going on, but cannot perform actions. The team, this is also important, right? We have different environments. So in this case, I'm on the development environment. I can see everybody that is there. I can see me, I can see this other coworker, I can see they have different permissions on this place. But on UAT or in production is different, right? Maybe they are an admin on UAT and dev, but they are guests in production. So having that flexibility is really important, and we deliver that. So those people can be in different environments, managed in different ways. And auditing. This is another super important piece. Any tool that has team members, you need to be really aware of auditing what they are doing. So we can go to activities and see everything that happened in my project. I can see who did it, what they did it, and when they did it. So with this list, if there's a problem in production, if there's a problem in UAT and I need to check what happened, I have this full detailed logs that I can see. And backups, right? We're talking about data. We're talking about securing your data. So with DXP Cloud, you can create new backups right away, and that's one way of just dealing with your data. With those backups, they seem really like, okay, you just click a button and that's it, right? There's tons of things going on behind the scenes. We are compressing your data. We're getting the document library, making sure that's consistent with your database, and we're making a dump of your database, and we're putting all that to the cloud, uploading this one consistent file. You can also define automatic backups. Like doing manual backups is great, but you don't want to be that person just clicking that button every single time. So with automatic backups, it's the same flow, but you can just define a scheduler for that. So the good thing about all this is data integrity and no corruption, because you're building backups that are really, you can trust on them. And you can restore any of the backups to any environment anytime. So let's say I'm in production and I'm getting the latest backup. I want my team that is working on UAT or working on dev to use the same data. So I can just get that backup, put that data in dev, right? Now there's another question that appears right away. Okay, if I'm like getting the data, moving around, putting different environments, what about sanitization? What's going to happen with my data? I don't want my users from dev and UAT to see the username, the emails of my users. So you can actually configure those things and create a script to sanitize your data or anonymize your data. So with Recover, we also get all the best practices that we have seen in many different projects, and we stop the instances of Liferay, so there's no more assets being created or anything like this. We prevent the database from having any type of actions there. And now that we have a secure environment, we can actually recover the files, add to that environment. So now we have the whole journey completed. We understood the business use case. We know that moving to the cloud is not easy. There are different providers, different use cases. We know there's SLAs that we have to put in place. We think about our software development lifecycle, test properly, not move everything all together, and make it in a way that is pretty secure. At the end of the day, what we want at Baguette is this. We want our IT team to be happy because now they deliver software with confidence. We want marketing and sales to be happy because they see that, okay, sales are growing and now they can evolve faster. See Brigitte, super happy there. And our CEO, Zinedine, is super happy because business is smarter than ever. Now they can focus on what matters. We sell bread, we don't do software. We need software, but we sell bread. That's what we're good at. So just keep doing what we're doing. Today, DXP Cloud is helping not only this fictitious company, Baguette, but real companies like Vodafone. Here in the UK, we have Correos de Chile, Gym Pass, gym membership company, Positiva, insurance company in Colombia, SIM, a nonprofit company in Africa. So it's really nice to see the growth, and we're just starting. Now we have clients all over the world, and this is for me is like really nice to see that, okay, it's growing and now we have this global impact. And we are here for the next 15 years. Liferay have done amazing things so far. I'm really grateful to be in this company, and it's amazing to see how far we've gotten. But we want to go even further and do even greater things. So thank you so much. If you want to hear more about DXP Cloud, you can request a trial on the website, or just get more information on the website as well. Or just talk to me. We have a booth upstairs. I will be there to answer any of your questions. Merci beaucoup.